What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So in July, we saw Halo Infinite for the first time with its gameplay, and something seemed completely off about what they showed us. A lot of people made that known online, and then they delayed the game completely outside of the launch of the Xbox Series X. But we did get a big new update telling us when we can expect the game with a new launch window, what went wrong with that demo, and what they are doing now to fix it. We'll go over that here today. Also, Cyberpunk 2077. It's been an interesting build-up, we'll say, to its launch in just a few days now. A lot of that started with those reviews earlier this week describing a phenomenal game with a ton of bugs and glitches, but it looks like CD Projekt Red has been making the rounds online now, talking about several patches that are hitting the console version of the game specifically, making it a whole new game than what's been played previously. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure to hit the like button, helps out a ton, and if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. We're going to start today with the Game Awards. Those would be tomorrow night, and there's been some hype around it, but generally we get to this point and we're really excited for what's going to get announced at these Game Awards, alongside, of course, the awards themselves, sure. But a lot of us want to see some big new announcements, and it's been kind of a weird year, right? I think that's the biggest thing. It's the development cycles for a lot of different games have been kind of thrown through a loop, so expectations, I think, are dropped a bit for any of these events right now that would have newer games there, or at least have them announced. But Geoff Keighley did take to Reddit to talk a bit about how many announcements that they should have there for us to see, and it might be a little more than people were expecting. This is from WCCF Tech that spotted this on Reddit, saying, "I think there are a good dozen plus games that will be announced, revealed at the show for the first time. I think around 12 to 15 or so, and then there should also be some in the pre-show. We could be looking at somewhere around 17 to 20 even announcements, and they're not all going to be massive announcements. Some of them will be a little smaller, of course. There are probably some indie games there, but I mean, last year he showed entire console. He showed the Series X. I don't know if he'll top that, but let's say things like Microsoft could be there with the Initiative. That's possible. Silent Hill keeps coming up. Would that be a massive Xbox Series X-like announcement for you? We'll see, but I wouldn't be surprised if all three of the big first-party companies, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, all showed up here with something to announce. Also, sticking with the Game Awards, we do have our first winner at the awards show. We can see the tweet here from Geoff Keighley. The results are in. Congratulations to Ghost of Tsushima, the winner of the Player's Voice Award at the Game Awards. Now, the Player's Voice Awards, I said before, a popularity contest mostly. There were 3 different rounds, and they just, I think, cut off the bottom like third or so through each round. Eventually, we got to the end where just whatever game got the most votes there won. And what was really funny about this is it looked like The Last of Us Part 2 was actually pulling away. It was about 12% or so ahead of Ghost of Tsushima in the final round, and then all of a sudden, Ghost of Tsushima started getting all of the votes, and most likely what I think happened is people saw that Last of Us Part 2 was going to win, and they just voted for second place because they didn't want Last of Us Part 2 to win. So there was a lot of voting against Last of Us is what I would say, but Ghost of Tsushima benefited from it heavily, and I'm fine with that because I wanted Ghost of Tsushima to win anyway. I mean, now we're going to get into the awards show and see which game takes home Game of the Year. I kind of hope it's Hades, because I feel like if Hades wins, everyone will kind of look at that and just be like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Oh, and here was a fun game announcement. How about Knights of the Old Republic 2 going to cell phones? That's right. I mean, think about in like, what was 2003, 2004 or so, right? With the original Xbox, the new Knights of the Old Republic comes out. The Xbox barely runs it. It has a hard time. Even on PCs, you had to have a pretty good rig at the time, back then, mid-2000s, to play it. And now we're going to be able to play it on our cell phones. The first Knights of the Old Republic is actually already on Android and iPhones and iPads and all of that. Now, I think it's like $5 on sale currently, but we can see some of the trailer here for Knights of the Old Republic 2, and Aspire is doing this. It's coming out December 18th on iPhone, iPad, Android, and it's going to be $14.99. Now, you might be thinking, well, why would EA put this on cell phones and not on the Switch first? Well, this actually wouldn't have anything to do with EA. EA has a contract with Disney to make new Star Wars games. This is something that Disney does kind of on the side. They will have like Aspire come along and say, hey, we can port one of these old games from the vault and we can put it on a platform and you can just sell it. And that's what's happening here. Remember, Aspire's done this with Pod Racer, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy. This just seems to be their next project, where they even took the controls and made them work with touchscreen devices, all of this. But I will say this, Aspire, Disney, you should really look at Knights of the Republic 1 and 2 as something that would do well. I think on the Switch, it's probably worth moving that over. But either way, in a few weeks, you'll be able to play Knights of the Republic 2 on your cell phone. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're starting right away with Cyberpunk 2077, out in just a day or two now, and I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. There's been a lot of hype and a lot of buildup over the entire previous generation through the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, so yeah, absolutely, I'm playing it as soon as it unlocks to see this game for myself. But there's been a lot of questions around the bugs and glitches that have been described but not shown. Remember, a lot of these reviews for PC, they just had to use B-roll footage and just kind of talk about what they were seeing, which, I mean, that on its own is kind of questionable. You're not gonna let them show us the gameplay that they were recording. That's interesting. And a lot of that seems to come down to them giving them what appears to be an early build almost of the game that wasn't functional, really. I mean, it is, but it's like so many game-breaking bugs appear to have been described and even complained about in some of these reviews, but the game itself at its core is so good that it's still got perfect scores for what it was with some outlets. So that was interesting to see, but it does look like, at least according to CD Projekt Red, several patches have been getting pushed, and there are some people I've talked to who have the game, and yeah, patches keep getting pushed for it. Some of them 40, 45 gigabytes in size, and we see now that the PlayStation preload is like over 100 gigabytes now. So I hope one of those patches is like included in that download size, because that would be crazy. You get 100 gigabyte, then you get a 45, then another 20. You have day one patches the size of the entire game. Now over on Reddit, they did go ahead and round up some of the statements that were issued on Twitter by different CD Projekt Red developers. As an example here, CD Projekt Red's Fabian says, "They are not a bunch of issues reviewers encountered and reported have been fixed already. Some more are part of the update, and it is a different game with the console update from, I guess, what was played previously by these reviewers on PC. The two updates we are currently looking at is version 1.02, that'd be on the PS4, backwards compatible, of course, on the PS5, and then version 1.0.0.6 on the Xbox consoles. And if we go a little further than that, we do have Adam, who is the head of CD Projekt Red, saying, so in terms of bugs, we are all aware of them. Of course, such a big game can't be just bug-free. That's the kind of obvious, but we believe that the level will be as low as to let gamers not see them. And fortunately, some bugs extended previous were caused by some general, I would say general features, and many of them are already fixed, so what gamers will get will be different from what we reviewers would get in the final review is better than what previewers got. It. And that might have been run through like a very basic machine translation there. Anyway, we do see at least that there are patches being pushed, and I guess they're trying to get this all fixed up by day one with these patches, which day one patches are so common now. It's odd that they had people review the game in a state that wasn't seemingly ready for review with some of the glitches and the bugs that were present. It's very odd, but it makes sense why I guess now they wouldn't want them to show any of the footage. Maybe it won't be representative, but that's the problem. We have to question it. Will the game I buy on day one with Cyberpunk 2077 be broken? That's seriously a question that people are asking right now. And at this point, I wish I could tell you, but another interesting part is the console review codes still have not seemingly gone out to most places. That's the biggest thing here. They seem to have been waiting for this patch in particular because this seems to be the one that is going to be fixing like all of the issues with the console version. Remember, people already have the game when it leaked out early, and we had some gameplay that was put up online for the beginning part of it. And even yesterday, strangely enough, Best Buy just started letting people pick up Cyberpunk 2077. It was for like an hour. For some reason in their system, it just thought Cyberpunk was out. So people would go in and they were just picking them up. They were posting pictures on Reddit of them holding it up, and then Best Buy fixed it and said, oh, it's delayed now until release day. So yeah, it's out there, and I guess this update now, we should start seeing those console review codes for the PlayStation and the Xbox start going out hopefully by today, but that won't leave much time. So you'll want to check the reviews, I guess, on release day or following it up, but I understand a lot of people want to check this game out, so you might have to roll the dice on some of the bugs and the glitches that were described in an early build on PC. Here's hoping it drops on console and it's smooth enough. I mean, look, again, these are big open world games. You're going to have bugs and glitches, but hopefully it's not game breaking to the point where it really damaged the experience. Next up, let's talk about Halo Infinite. After what was kind of a disaster of a gameplay demo that was shown off in July, it was decided that Halo Infinite had to wait a little longer, had to cook for a bit longer in development. Then they also brought in Joseph Staten, brought him back. He's the creative director actually now for Halo Infinite and this project, and it seems like he'll be focusing mostly on the single player, as they also brought in the director from the Master Chief Collection to work on the multiplayer side. But a very large update, even bringing in some developers from 343 to sit down and kind of answer questions and give a bit more transparency as to what happened here, even talking about Craig actually. But let's start with the basics, and that's how the demo itself looked. The primary goal for the campaign demo in July was showing Halo Infinite gameplay for the first time. While that aspect generally landed as we wanted, the reality is that the art and visuals weren't at the bar we hold for Halo, even in a work-in-progress state. Much of the feedback we heard from the community aligned with our own views and work we were already committed to doing around things like indirect lighting, material response, foliage, and tree rendering, clouds, level of detail transitions, and character fidelity. That's basically like everything in terms of visuals. Still, the feedback was humbling, and it also pushed us to look at additional opportunities for improvement. Some of the key areas of progress include better quality of global illumination, ambient inclusion, shadows, volumetric lighting, sky, and atmosphere. We have also addressed issues with our GPU-driven rendering and texture streaming solution that should mitigate the LOD popping and texture quality issues that were prevalent in the July demo. As for Craig, they said, firstly, I can confirm that the facial animation on NPCs was not fully implemented in that build, which resulted in Craig's incredibly deadpan, lifeless look. All characters are modeled in a neutral pose prior to blend shapes and animation being applied. So poor old Craig was never intended to be seen in that condition, which is not something that was evident during the gameplay. It was only later in the close-up freeze frame of his one bad moment where it came to light and the legend of Craig was born. They go on to say that they have been working on different face animations, all of this for different brutes and characters, put more time into that. That's great, but you do have to do something with Craig, like an Easter egg. Maybe there's a brute like that's kind of hidden in a level and has like a name tag that's like, hi, my name is Craig, and you just don't have it an animation on the face, right? It just looks like Craig from this demo they did in July. And really, to me, it seems that the game itself would not have been ready. Like, I see no way, the way that they describe everything that was off in this demo and needed work, how it would have been ready to go like less than a month ago. It was gonna launch next to the Series X. I don't see any path for that to have happened without it just being broken and buggy as soon as it released. And there was gonna be a full multiplayer next to it, which is still confirmed to be free to play. In fact, towards the end of this, they mentioned flight testing that would take place next year. Great, because their new launch window is going to be fall 2021. That's right, this game still needs another year of work. Yes, Joseph Staten talked a bit about the single player, how excited he is after playing through it a few times now, he said, in his first week there as the creative director, and it just needs more work and polish and bug fixing. So I really hope that this basically year a delay really does help Halo Infinite. I hope specifically the multiplayer comes out and then it is top notch, but the campaign sounds like they were really going to be pushing for something special here and they were just running out of time. So I'm at least glad they decided, look, we cannot launch Halo busted. We just can't do it. It's Halo. We got to give it more time. And yes, 343 has had a lot of time with this game, but I guess at this point, what's another year? So next year, I guess, we'll see more about flight testing. I'll try to get in it and we'll do some feedback. And here's hoping Halo Infinite comes out next year and it really is up to the Halo level of quality we expect. Next up, let's talk about another delay, this time from Ubisoft for the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake. Remember, we saw this at Ubisoft Forward. They showed it. We got really excited because the title card went up. We're like, wow, they're really gonna do it. Sands of Time remake. Let's see what it looks like. And then they showed us the character models, and it was just mass disappointment online because they didn't look good. They didn't. It looked like almost like a PS2 game, just about. The environments looked fine. The animations looked all right, but like, it was just really off with those character models. And it looks like they're gonna be delaying it about 2 months now, hopefully to iron that out. This is actually the statement they posted online. We're excited to put this game in your hands as we retell the story of the Prince and Farah in a reimagined 11th century Persia. However, 2020 has been a year like no other. Today, we wanted to let you know that we are taking additional time to work on the game. With that, the release date for Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake has been moved to March 18th, 2021. We believe this is the right call to ensure we will deliver a game you will enjoy. The original release date for this was January 21st. So yeah, about 2 months almost exactly. And I do wonder if that's enough time for what we saw, because while it's just, I guess you just say it's the character models. I mean, that could take a lot of time throughout the game to kind of improve that and fix it up a bit. I'm hoping that's what is happening here, and it's not just, yeah, we wouldn't just be able to get the game done at all if we didn't delay it. I hope they step back and said, yeah, you know what? The character models probably could use some extra work. We need about 2 months just to make sure it's good to go. And Ubisoft basically said, all right, let's push it 2 months. I don't think having it move back 2 months is going to hurt it that much anyway. January to March, it's still in that kind of first quarter period. And the only thing they could run into is there could be more games just dropping in March right around that time as opposed to January, but it's Sands of Time Remake. Most of us remember the game and we're going to pick it up, but I do hope that a new generation of gamers gets to try this game, and that's one of the reasons I hope it's really, really good, right? So here's hoping Sands of Time gets a bit of a makeover for some of the character models, because otherwise I think they have something here for a pretty solid remake. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about that DualSense controller for the PlayStation 5. I really like the controller and how it's used in something like Astro's Playroom with the advanced haptic feedback. We have the speaker and the adaptive triggers all working together to give you a pretty good experience. My only issue and concern is really if developers take advantage of it like I would like them to. Well, at least here it looks like Hitman 3 will be doing that, as they put out a blog post on PlayStation's website going over some of the DualSense features we can look forward to, and they're actually pretty cool. On the PlayStation blog, they say all the guns in the game will support adaptive triggers, and you'll feel an authentic sensation with each shot you fire. Automatic weapons also simulate recoil with every bullet. It's kind of similar to what we saw with like Call of Duty, where the trigger will basically kick back to your finger as you're holding it down. And we're implementing unique haptic feedback for each weapon that is tied to the distinct sound profile of each weapon. Essentially, we're emulating what it feels like to fire a specific weapon in the same way that we're replicating how each weapon sounds. Remember, they can run like sound files through the advanced haptic feedback, and it will try to simulate it more or less, which is pretty cool. One specific and really cool example of our adaptive trigger support is how you activate the focus effect that slows down the world around you with a sniper rifle. When you gently squeeze the R2 button, your finger will reach a tension point that will resist your pressure. You'll need to hold your finger against that tension point to activate the focus. When you're ready to fire, push past that tension point and you'll feel the click of the trigger as you fire the weapon. That's good because usually if you have focus, you have to click in a stick, right, to like hold your breath or go into focus mode or press another trigger or button. That's clever because that kind of makes the adaptive trigger into 2 buttons, kind of, because you're pressing down. And it's kind of like when you're climbing up that one area in Astro and you push the adaptive trigger down, there's kind of like a point where you have to click past, and that's when you grab the ledge. That's a cool idea. So I really do hope that other developers continue to take advantage of this, and it's good to see that Hitman 3 will seemingly be using all of the DualSense controller here with those adaptive triggers. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Stop and Go saying, did John ever get his Atari 2020 is almost over? I have not yet, but I did get an email. I copied and pasted it here so you can see the email. This is from them. They say their warehouse will begin the sorting, packing, and shipping of Atari VCS hardware starting next week, according to order sequence and regardless of geography. And this was December 4th, so any day now. I think. I don't know. It's been so long with this Atari VCS, hasn't it? They keep sending me emails about their hotels and their casinos and their cryptocurrency, but finally I got an email about the Atari VCS, and who knows? I'm hoping it's here before Christmas. I want to do a video on it like one of these weekends coming up, and I thought I'd have it by now, but I don't know. There's always next week, I guess. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, whether it's Halo Infinite. And we see the delay now, basically, about a year. Do you think that's enough time to get that all sorted out? And do you think it could have launched this holiday? I'm really curious what that would have looked like. And then what about Cyberpunk 2077? We've heard about a lot of bugs and glitches. Do you think some of these patches will actually iron all of that out, making it, what they say, like a new game for consoles, or do you think it's going to have a lot of launch day issues with bugs and glitches for the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, and then the other last-gen systems? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.